again, this weekend, more coming out on the saga that is the contract negotiations and different things coming up like suits and training gear and aviation class seats and the big one, name, image, and likeness for Alphonso Davies. I'm going to leave this open ended on purpose so you guys can take whichever direction you want to. But let's go to you, Wheels. What do you make of all of this again coming out less than a month from the World Cup?
Well, first and foremost, these are negotiations that are proceeding. And I think that a number of the issues that have arisen kind of tell you all that you need to know about why a deal hasn't been completed yet between the CSA and the men's and women's players. Like there's a lot of intricacies here where they can agree on big ticket items, but the list of things that are being, that are being that are being gone over right now, it's lengthy and these are complicated and it's completely new for the Canadian Soccer Association and specifically the men's national team. It sounds like the women's team are speaking the same language. They've had representation for a long time. It seems like they're moving in the right direction, which is a good thing. The Davies story and the fact that when you go on Fanatics and you can't buy his jersey right now, that's the one that's the most frustrating. My understanding is that this isn't new news. This is part of the ongoing negotiation between Davies camp and the Canadian Soccer Association. This is very rare, by the way, in international football, where one player takes up so much attention, positive attention, and oxygen. Like 75% of jerseys that are sold from the Canadian men's national team have Alphonso Davies on the back. I mean, so this image rights issue is more of an Alphonso Davies issue than something that's going to apply for all players, but how that's applied to team compensation and how it plays for everyone else, that's something difficult to navigate through. So I'm unfamiliar, to be honest with you, about how rights fees are dealt with on a national team level. I'm very familiar on how that works from club to club. The national team is completely different down that path. And let's be honest, like things like this didn't matter before. People weren't buying Canadian men's national team jerseys before. This is a new problem and it comes with success and a new issue. And it's something that I think that everyone just needs to figure out behind closed doors together in order to come up with a situation that works with all parties involved.
Yeah, that's what we need at this point, and that's what I think we should be focused on. It is a unique one, like we all said, because of the status of Davies and the commercial value of Davies compared to the rest of the team, right? Like that's not typical when you look at other national teams like England or Germany or Spain. Like I understand there's stars on those teams who have bigger profiles than other players, but you're still looking at the 23rd guy on that roster, and he's a Premier League star or a La Liga star, right? You know, a big name who has value and that kind of interest of his own. With Canada, I think it's much different, where not to be dismissive at all of the players on the lower end of the roster, but their commercial value does not touch a Bayern Munich player like Alphonso Davies, right? And so you have this massive difference between the different players in terms of what they might need out of this deal and what might be in their interests out of this deal. And that's something that we're going to have to navigate, obviously, as they look to find an agreement here. But look, I would also just say I hope we can focus on what actually matters here. I understand that there's things in that story that made me, roll my eyes and shake my head, and they're frustrating and they're tone deaf, and we understand all of those things. But ultimately, what we need here is a deal with the players. That is the story. That is where we need to go. Is we need an agreement to move forward with the game in this country in a way that everyone is happy with and everyone can buy into. Because we've made so much progress over the last few years with the national teams, with the CPL, with more momentum for a women's league than ever. To throw it away at this point would be, just absolutely heartbreaking. So I really hope we can find that common ground with the players and get everyone bought into where we're going here. And that, I think, is what people need to keep their eye on the ball with, rather than getting caught up in a lot of stuff that, yes, it's annoying, but ultimately it's noise.
Just really quickly, Adam, like my understanding is that Davies people in the CSA are in conversations about this like multiple times on a daily basis. So this is urgent. And some of the big ticket items like equal pay for men and women, the World Cup ticketing and travel for families and friends, that stuff, like, it doesn't sound like there's any issue with that. Mm-hmm. It's just all this other stuff on the periphery. So these leaks that are happening to facilitate change or, to ridicule or bring it, like, there's half truths, there's nuance in a lot of this stuff. There's going to be he said, she said, he said, she, like, about a lot of this stuff, and I just don't think it works in anyone's best interest right now, when right now less than a World Cup. I just hope the attention just goes back to the players and the task at hand, and that it doesn't stray. I don't think it will affect the players specifically in terms of their on-field commitment and focus, but the rest of the nation right now, I just want them getting hyped about all the good that is about to play out over the next few weeks.
I think if you're looking for some kind of a silver lining and you are a fan of sports in general, especially Major League Baseball, the National Hockey League, you're used to this. It's ugly because it's business, and it's who's got leverage here, who's got leverage there. And the difference is there is a deadline. If they want to get it done before the World Cup, you're not going to see a protest, because the ramifications from Canada not participating fully just would cripple everything to do with the organization. So it's not going to necessarily be fun. There is going to be a lot of eye rolling, Oliver Platt, but the hope is, as Gareth says, it's not too much of a distraction, but it is definitely a talking point. There will be some football to be played. Let's end on that positive note, because Canada will be taking on Japan in a final tune-up before the World Cup begins. There was also the friendly announced against Bahrain, but that will be November the 17th in Dubai, the Al Maktoum Stadium, an 8:40 a.m. Eastern time start. That is not bad at all, coming from someone who had to call the women's national team in Australia, though it is a little bit earlier for our friends on the West Coast, a 5:40 a.m. Pacific time start. He's been Oliver Platt. That's been Gareth Wheeler. I've been Adam Jenkins. More CPL final previews to come this week. Keep it locked to One Soccer Today.